Okay, so right now, the September rate cut expectations are very, very high for the Fed to cut rates. So let's talk about Bitcoin and let's talk about Mara stock right now with the information we have so far. So today, if you guys noticed, there was a CPI, core CPI, year over year CPI that came out, and it came in at 2.7%, I believe. So it did not tick up. It's within expectations. So no bad news. So now with that, and with the jobs report that recently came out as well, like a few weeks ago, the Fed is in a lot of pressure to cut rates. There is enough for them to cut, although we just got to keep in mind that we're going to wait to see how the market develops, what more information we could potentially get out, um, that can come out as well before that happens. But um, what I want to talk about in Bitcoin before we jump into Mara stock. And here is the BitU update. I haven't done an update in a while, but the position right now is just over $1,300 in profit. Remember, guys, my next take profit price level is still 128K. I have not changed it. So I'm going to talk about the smaller picture, what I'm expecting in the short term. So at least I'm not surprised with what happens. I'm going to share that all with you guys. I'm going to, again, this is all just my opinion. I'm not telling anyone to buy or sell. I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm doing, what I'm looking at, um, as a way to, just share with you guys. So right now, the Bitcoin has come up very nicely from our last short-term devalue price level below 104K. It came up, it broke into the broader picture um, extension, and I'm looking at 128K. That doesn't mean that I'm expecting the bull market to end at 128K. As you can see, we can go much higher than that. But the idea is that at least with this swing trade with BitU, I'm looking at to begin shaving, depending what the price or the structures look at the moment and the macro environment. I may potentially shave more aggressively or even close the position out entirely and wait for another overall retracement, just like this one where we broke into this area. I sold the last BitU swing trade. Um, and then I began accumulating early with the expectations that the price will bottom out within this retracement, which is from the swing low to the swing high, which is all-time high. We found support and we started trending up higher and we got bullish confirmation. So with that being said, we still haven't made a new all-time high. There's enough momentum to reach it, in my opinion. But when it comes to the real short-term price action, yes, we've been keeping track of this move with a retracement right here. I explained how I use the extensions and retracements in yesterday's video. But the thing is, the RSI, it doesn't have to, but it never actually exhausted itself to the downside. And we were just slightly within support, right? We didn't reach below, really, we didn't really break below 118K in the short term, which is fine because the view is higher. There's no reason to be so short term bearish. Regardless, that's not bearish. It's just having stronger support. Um, it doesn't mean that it bottomed out already. Like if you guys saw in yesterday's video, I made this new retracement for this move down, which is just indicating that as we could potentially come down further and not just fall a bit more within this yellow support area, but it can also allow the price to come down and touch this ascending support line we have down here. So it can tick down, flirt around with the 117K area at the 0.5 retracement, and it can potentially also just bounce off of or get very close to the ascending support line before going up into the next short term, like kind of like short term price top for another, small correction before we actually go up to 128K. Now, we don't have to fluctuate within this area, but the reason I have this here is because when we start seeing Bitcoin go up, just like right here, just like, not just right here, but like we've seen this happen many times before here, where we start seeing Bitcoin go up and then everyone gets really, really hyped up, FOMO. It's just to remind us that even though, um, in my opinion, doesn't really matter too much. But if I believe it will go up to 128K, it doesn't mean it has to directly go there. We can see short term fear, short term fluctuations. and that can really, really ruin a lot of people's mood when if they're overly optimistic in the short term, in my opinion. So the idea is that yeah, I'm looking at 128K soon enough, and we have a lot, this potential rate cut in September. It doesn't have to happen, but the market is expecting, and it's like all over the internet. You guys can check it out. It's very, very like high probability, not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, but it's high probability that it will happen. Just that's just the expectation right now. So with that being said, it's very, very possible that we can see a lot of this hype reflect into Bitcoin. So this is just one element of a few that I believe we can continue to see price action to the upside. We're still moving up. We're just coming down into retracement. We're just having a little bit of a fluctuation. Like, we've come up all the way to 121, even 122K. But as we came up to here, there was still some short-term weakness, short-term fear, right? It's just the price fluctuating as it goes up higher. And it can easily continue up from here. But the thing is, I'm trying to remain realistic when it comes to the real short term. Like we're within short term resistance. We can easily see the price just have a simple like three-wave move down, find support, and then go up higher. It's as simple as that, right? And like as it goes up higher, it can also fluctuate. It can fluctuate a little bit more aggressively within this area, which is just an extension for short-term price action based off of previous moves. The volume for investor sentiment right here, and we can continue to see some like fluctuations and a lot of short-term fear. You just got to know your risk management, your view, and why you believe Bitcoin will continue to go higher, or if you believe it will go down. You got to factor in all that into your own trading, because for me personally, like yeah, I have my own reasons why I believe Bitcoin go up into this area, 128K. But until then, I'm not just expecting the price to like pop up easy, like, just a bunch of bullishness. I'm expecting short term fluctuation. So I'm still expecting in the short term, we can see some weakness. We're seeing the price weaken a little bit right here. It's realistic. It doesn't have to happen. The view is higher. But if it does happen, we can easily break the swing low, find support around like 116, 117 potentially, coming in closer to the ascending support line. And then when we go and rather not that happens, we still have some resistance right here. We can see short-term fluctuation. So it's just to remain realistic and to remind all of us that no matter how optimistic the market is, like there's no reason to just be convinced that the price would just shoot up straight. It absolutely could, but this is just to remind us to remain realistic. But again, 128K is when I plan to begin selling as of right now, unless something in the macro changes. But as of right now, I don't expect to shave that BitU position unless we come into this area. For some reason, if because we didn't reach the all-time high, it's not it hasn't gone up to here yet. So it's still a possibility that this can be a very much overshooting second wave, and what could potentially be a one sec, sorry, uh, right here. It can potentially just be an overshooting second wave and then a third wave down that can bring us below the 0.5 retracement for the bigger picture, and it can potentially hit or even break briefly 110K. So this is still very much possible, but the thing is, I don't expect that really to happen. It's there. I plan to accumulate more if that were to happen. I'm not going to be feared out. I plan to accumulate. I have my reasons why I believe Bitcoin go higher. Again, and I'm not trading with any kind of capital. I'm not willing to lose. It's a 75K BitU position that's in the green right now as well. So a little over 76, or a little over 76.3K, but it's not something that I am like emotionally tied to. So if that were to happen, I would just accumulate more. But the thing is, we do have bullish confirmation, and again, the target is 128K before I even consider shaving that position, right? So that's my view on it. I believe we can break all-time high real soon. We have some short-term support to really test to see if we have short-term bullish confirmation to continue up higher, make a new all-time high, and then see if the bulls are strong enough to reach that next level. I believe they are. It just will have fluctuations until then. Now, when it comes to Mara stock, nothing has changed from yesterday's video as well. Mara, and a lot of people are very disappointed with Mara because it's not pumping while Bitcoin is pumping. And I think it was like we've pretty much covered this in previous videos so many times. Mara has a lot of growth expenses. It has cash flow, with positive and negatives. It has um a very large responsibility to grow their hash rate, to grow their acquisitions, their mining facilities, obtain more, because when the next halving happens, they gotta have that power to stay afloat, to stay profitable, um, within a market that becomes 50% much more difficult to maintain every 4 years. And I think they have a new acquisition somewhere in Europe, I believe. I have to read it up again, but basically, they're making moves and they are prioritizing their actual mining, then prioritizing the shareholders. So that's why, and I'm gonna show you guys, because I always say it, but I never. It's been a very long time since I showed it. But we'll just look at the 12-month candles, right? So every 4 years, Mara stock and it's starting to become less like significant. Um, so basically, like every 4 years, so we have when they started, but then we had the next bull market cycle top was here, and then we had the next bull market cycle top was here, and now we're in the middle of the next one. As you can see, it's lower each time. They have a very, we're Bitcoin is a very very young tech still. I am a believer in Bitcoin becoming much much more like used in the normal world. I believe a lot of people aren't too like educated on it yet. Like I believe it still has a long way to go, and I believe it will get there. But we're still very very much early with the Bitcoin adoption, right? So as they become, or as they reassure everyone that it's all up to them to become a much more sustainable Bitcoin mining companies, we're gonna see that short term weakness. So as of right now, this bull market cycle top is lower than the previous. We don't have to reach up there, have a conservative area down here, but I do believe Mara stock has the potential of going up into the 30s later this year. We're seeing a lot of short-term weakness, like, or by short-term I mean like for the last like year, basically, with rate cuts and the Fed holding rates. So when they do start to cut, I believe there's gonna be a lot of inflows in like Bitcoin and a lot of growth companies like Mara and so on across the market. But as of right now, until that officially happens, I'm trying to be very conservative with how I'm viewing the short term view. So as of right now, because we are in a bullish uptrend, right here, as you can see, we're holding very nicely like the support. We have resistance backing up the extension area for the next take profit area. And just like we're in an accumulation zone at the moment, in my opinion, like it's very similar to the one here, and it's very similar to the one here. We're just, you know, I'm keeping an eye on this as short term attractive value to accumulate Mara, with the opportunity of this uptrend continuing. And if it continues based off of previous fluctuations, being very conservative with it too. I'm not using this swing high as a factor for this extension area, because if I do, it'll be much much higher, and it'll be above too much the ascending resistance to be realistic, right? I believe it will be too hopeful, not realistic. So as of right now, because we are holding this bullish uptrend, we're in an accumulation. We can be in here for a while. I've said this before. We can be in this range for quite some time. We saw this in 2024, something very similar. And even the macro characteristics in the macro environment for the economy was very similar as well. So like we can be in here for a while, and we can even like we have this short term resistance, which is from this swing high down here all the way. It's a retracement. We can fluctuate in and out of red and the yellow quite a bit before we go up higher into the take profit zone. We can be in here for a bit. We can even actually maximize it down, and we can even go into the 14s for a little bit, right? We still have that room. But the idea is that no matter how long it takes and no matter how much short term noise we have this support area. it's just a matter of time before it pops up higher as long as we're holding this uptrend, right? If we break lower, the idea is that we can potentially see if we break below this swing low. So the swing low right here is it's an SL, but it's simple, right? It's the opportunity for Mara to have, and we've seen this happen before. Like when it broke below $10, that was crazy, like a crazy deal. Mara stock, no matter what anyone says, in my opinion, anything below $10 is extremely attractive. But this is only if we break this uptrend, right? Breaking the uptrend will mean we break below the swing low of $13.50. That is not happening at the moment. We are just holding support, right? It's a simple retracement around that ascending support line. It's as simple as that. So as long as this stays valid, the idea is, and I've said this so many times, so I'm just kind of like, tired of saying it, but I'm going to continue to say it until we reach TP or we hit the SL. But basically, the next area to look at for taking profit, as long as the uptrend holds, is around $21, right? 21 to $22 ideally. And if you want to be super conservative, in case we do come back and have a retest of the second or of the red accumulation area, in case we do pump, a short-term resistance around $18 will be a pretty good area to look at, and it still provides some decent, it still provides like roughly 15% just on the equity trade itself. So it's like, you guys gotta, do your own due diligence, look at your risk management and how long you're willing to hold a trade for, because we can range in here for a little bit. But again, nothing has changed. We're in a accumulation area. It does not mean like buy aggressively, because we can be in here for a while, but it's an accumulation area to accumulate, with take profit being up here. And it's very similar to back here where we're like, we had an accumulation area. This one didn't last too long, but we were in an accumulation area, and the next extension take profit was here. And a lot of people didn't think this would happen, and it did. And to me, in my opinion, the characteristics within the stock, within the chart, within the macro environment, it's all the same. So as of right now, I'm not convinced that we will break this uptrend, just yet. So again, wait, I think I moved something by accident. So just like back here, accumulation, we can have a second retest like that, but accumulation, take profit, that's the plan as of right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.